have no right to start something like this.
Doctor, like it or not, you are, if you'll permit the archaic phrase, a public enemy. The transcript of your trial is a public record, and you are consequently public property. So the only thing I have to answer to is my own conscience.
What's this going to prove? It's like playing with loaded dice. They're kids.
College graduates, Doctor. Some of the brightest minds in the country.
You've got 40 years' experience on them.
That doesn't weigh as much as the fact they hate me, Doctor. If I can get an acquittal from that jury, I'd defend you before the Spanish Inquisition. And all I ask is that you stay around and see what happens, Doctor.
The Fugitive. A QM production. Starring David Jansen as Dr. Richard Kimball, an innocent victim of blind justice, falsely convicted for the murder of his wife. Reprieved by fate when a train wreck freed him en route to the death house. Freed him to hide in lonely desperation, to change his identity, to toil at many jobs. Freed him to search for a one-armed man he saw leave the scene of the crime. Freed him to run before the relentless pursuit of the police lieutenant obsessed with his capture.
The guest stars in tonight's story, Kathleen McGuire, Robert Dreyfuss, and special guest star, Ed Begley. Tonight's episode, Man in a Chariot.
The man is Richard Kimball, and not surprisingly, the man is tired. Tired of looking over his shoulder, of the ready lie, of the buses and freight trains. And Richard Kimball is tired of running.
The jury trials render the administration of justice rather haphazard. No. You have been apprised, of course, that there is a trend.
Why don't they talk like people?
In some cases, some minor cases, and the results have been very satisfactory.
Rubbish.
Would you care to amplify that statement, Professor Laser?
I said rubbish. I think that covers it.
Well, now we're getting somewhere. Look out, buddy.
My method of dealing with ignorance is to label it as such and avoid getting soiled by it.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid we're getting off the subject.
If you consider that hit and
Who
run,
is that, the old man?
That's G. Stanley Laser. Oh, I forgot, you're not a local. He teaches out at the college. He used to be just about the biggest mouthpiece around.
I think I remember his name.
I quote, "Take, for example, the cases of the Farjon kidnappers, the notorious ice woman Barbara Creel, the Babcock brothers, Richard Kimball, or even Frank Dietrich. I have no doubt that if I were able to represent these defendants before another jury, I would be able to obtain for each an acquittal, or at worst, a hung jury."
Don't bet against it.
Now, Professor Laser, this doesn't sound as if you place much faith in our 12 good men and true.
I place a great deal of faith in myself, Mr. Eller, and very little in the persuasive powers of circumstantial evidence. The way I see it, a judge is one man. A jury is 12 men. Either can be swayed one way or the other. But only the jury can disagree. Consequently, I prefer a jury.
With a better chance for the guilty.
Is this, Laser as good as he says he is?
Perhaps that isn't important.
Maybe better. You ever hear of the Martin Collins case?
Gentlemen, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think so.
That kid was sitting on death row. Laser got him a new trial and then an acquittal.
I thought you said he was out at the college.
He had some sort of an accident about 10 years ago. I guess it put him out of action.
Of course, Professor G. Stanley Laser from the University.
Now, gentlemen, I have here in my hand your midterm examinations. I see you suddenly grow apprehensive. No reason, gentlemen. But if I hadn't administered the examination myself, I would be forced to conclude that this test had been taken by a group of freshman art students. Quiet! Good. And I think we should dedicate that moment of silence to the innocent men who will be coming to you for help.
you can get me off if I killed him?
I could get you elected governor.
You had a phone call about 15 minutes ago. Someone who saw you on the TV show. His number's on your desk, but he wouldn't leave a name.
Hello?
This is Professor Laser.
Professor, did you mean what you said last night about being able to get a different verdict in some cases?
Who is this?
Did you mean it?
Of course. Now, who am I talking to?
Look, can I meet you someplace?
I'll be at my office until 5.
And that won't do.
Well, then I'm sorry.
Look, I'd like you to get on the 8 o'clock train for Harrisburg. Get off at Lancaster. I'll meet you in the waiting room.
You expect me to go through that kind of hocus pocus for someone who won't give me his name?
Professor, if you think for a minute why I can't.
The 8 o'clock train.
I'll see you tonight.
Lancaster, next stop. Lancaster.
Don't get up. We'll ride on for a few stops. I'm sorry I didn't know about those.
You didn't know about her either, did you?
I'm Professor Laser's secretary.
Nancy Gilman. She stays.
All right.
Now, why did you telephone, and what do you want from me?
I want your help. But I want you to tell me that there's no legal help I can get.
You better know something right now. I haven't got any one-armed man to pull out of a hat.
The other people Professor Laser talked about on the show are either dead or in places where it's difficult to reach a telephone.
Stop fidgeting. She's been with me for 15 years.
All right, what happens next?
First, you'll need grounds for new appeal. And then, well, you'll have to go through it all again. Judge, the jury, the whole thing.
And how sure are you that you can get me an acquittal?
I have to examine the transcript.
But last night, I mean, he quoted...
I'm familiar with your case. I haven't memorized it.
I see.
You want help or not?
It's my neck. I can't just toss a coin.
I'm better than that. I've never lost a capital case.
Isn't there something you should ask me?
What's that?
Whether I'm guilty.
What's the difference? I'm not a judge, I'm a lawyer.
Could we take just the first step? See if there's a chance for a new trial.
And leave the rest of it open? All right. Well, it looks like we've come a ways.
I've been waiting to talk to you.
Good morning. I'm late.
Dr. Kimball,
Do you mind using hey, you, or fella from now on?
I'm sorry, but I want to talk to you.
Going the same way.
Before you go in there,
I'm late. I have an appointment with him.
how long are you going to stay here and go on with
I
this?
don't know.
If anyone finds out about you, he'll be subject to criminal prosecution and disbarment. As long as you're here, he's in danger, and I don't like that, Dr. Kimball. Sorry, fella.
And then talk to him about it. He took the case. He knows the dangers. Excuse me.
He took this case because he thinks he's been turned out to pasture and he hates it. You represent his chance to get back in the arena, and the way he's working at it might just kill him.
I don't want anyone to suffer. But I have to stay.
Doctor, don't you see the chance you're taking here?
Look, Miss Gilman, I'm fighting for my life.
I'm fighting for his, and I'm not going to lose.
Well, maybe I misunderstand your duties as his secretary.
Good. We're running late, and I've got a couple of things to tell you. I've pinpointed enough technical error to convince any appellate court in the country. There's the nucleus of a brief that'll put you right back in the dock whenever we want you there. Well, what's the matter? That's what you wanted, isn't it? At least part of it.
And maybe it's all I'm entitled to. Maybe I should settle for this and go.
I know you don't want to stand trial again, and I don't blame you. Dr. Kimball, you were convicted on circumstantial evidence, and I'm going to show you what happens to circumstantial evidence when an expert grabs hold of it.
How do you go about that?
Come along. Classroom exercise. I assure you it's perfectly safe, and you won't find it dull. Nancy will show you a maintenance closet opposite the classroom. You can watch from there. All right, gentlemen. Let's see what you've been able to put together.
Hear ye, hear ye. The Superior Court of Stafford County, State of Indiana, is now in session. The Honorable Charles G. Tyler presiding. This court will hear case number 33972, case of Indiana versus Richard Kimball.
Mr. Gould, you are representing the prosecution. Are you prepared to state your evidence?
I am.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. You can step down now. State would like to call as its next witness Miss Althea Redford.
Counselor, I think we'll have to hold Miss Redford over until tomorrow. That is, if she doesn't mind.
She never has.
If there are no objections, I'll recess this court until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Mr. Gould, I'd like to remind you that you are supposedly conducting the prosecution in a murder trial, not hosting the Rose Festival. Your job is the introduction of evidence, not the entertainment of your audience. You understand?
Yes, sir.
That's all. I'll see you in my office at 1 o'clock, Mitchell.
You know what I think sometimes? That when they tried Capone, they had the wrong guy.
Nancy, it looks as though this gentleman has something to tell me.
You had no right to start something like this.
Doctor, like it or not, you are, if you'll permit the archaic phrase, a public enemy. The transcript of your trial is a public record, and you are consequently public property. So the only thing I have to answer to is my own conscience. I'll be counseling the defense in there, and I guarantee the quality of the prosecution. A dry run under laboratory conditions.
What's this going to prove? It's like playing with loaded dice. They're kids.
College graduates, Doctor. Some of the brightest minds in this country. Young Gould, for example, has one of the best heads for the law that I've ever encountered.
Well, you just tore him apart, isn't it?
He's bright. He's also arrogant, disrespectful, and supercilious. Don't confuse his abilities with his attitude.
You've got 40 years' experience on them.
That doesn't weigh as much as the fact they hate me, Doctor. If I can get an acquittal from that jury, I'd defend you before the Spanish Inquisition. And all I ask is that you stay around and see what happens, Doctor.
It was a funny feeling standing in there just now.
Through a glass, darkly.
I guess that's it.
10 o'clock tomorrow?
$10.
Yeah, I did cover it. The whole 4 weeks. I don't know, there may be a story there, maybe not. Okay, I appreciate the tip anyway. Thanks, Sarge. I'll see that quarter. What have you got?
Curve, ladies.
Case is over.
Kept the kicker?
Always.
Oh, what was the tip?
Oh, Pulaski got a call from the Indiana police. Seems our friend Stanley Laser sent away for a copy of the transcript of the Richard Kimball case.
Yeah? Why?
That's what Indiana wants to know. They've heard of Laser. Turns out he only wants for a mock trial or something. You know, classroom stuff.
Think it's worth a feature?
I don't know. There could be a story there.
Yeah. Especially if they electrocute the kid who's playing Kimball.
Are you kidding? They'll have to let him escape.
Listen, it'd be just like that old man to have Kimball stashed in his hip pocket.
Come on. It's your play.
All right.
Dr. Gary, could this act have been performed by a man with one arm?
Objection. There's been no testimony admitted with respect to any one-armed man.
Overruled.
Professor Laser, if we're to abide by procedure, we're going to have...
Welcome, gentlemen. Come in. Make yourselves comfortable. Answer the question as phrased, Dr. Gary.
Yes, I suppose it would have been possible, but it would have been much more difficult, especially if she resisted.
Doctor, isn't it true, Doctor, that when a man loses a limb, he develops unusual and compensatory strength in the remaining limb?
Certainly we have new counsel.
Yes, I suppose so.
And a woman who had been drinking, and we shall introduce evidence to prove that Mrs. Kimball had been drinking, such a woman would have her ability to resist considerably lessened. Isn't that right, Doctor?
Well, that might depend on the amount she'd consumed. A small amount
At least 6 martinis in an hour and a half.
Objection.
On what grounds, Mr. Gould?
May I approach the bench?
What's the matter?
I'm not sure. But as far as I can remember, it never came out at the trial how much the lady drank. Or what.
Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Laser, would you also approach the bench?
You're dismissed, young man.
In a moment, Professor Laser. Mr. Gould claims that there's nothing in the transcript or in the available information to substantiate your allegations with respect to Mrs. Kimball's drinking.
I think 6 martinis is a reasonable assumption.
Your Honor, reasonable or not, we're obliged to stick to the facts as brought out in the original trial. The only evidence we have was the defendant's statement that his wife had been drinking some. That's all he said.
I'll sustain your objection, Mr. Gould.
I'd like to move for an adjournment till tomorrow.
But we still have time.
Adjourn the court, young man.
Adjourned until tomorrow morning.
Professor Laser. Not now.
Oh, Mr. Gould, I'm Art McNeil with the Herald. I wonder if I could ask you a few questions.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask Professor Laser, but maybe you could help me. Why did he pick the Kimball trial for this?
Why not?
Who is it?
Lee Gould. I'd like to talk to you.
Well,
I saw you at the class this morning.
how'd you know where I live?
Followed you. I was a sophomore when they tried Richard Kimball. Oh, I know I'm prosecuting him now, and I've got a good case, but somehow I always felt he should have gotten off. I guess what I'm trying to say is I didn't think he was guilty.
Why tell me about it?
Well, I've done a lot of research on the case, you know, newspaper files, stories, pictures, everything. You know, they even sent a reporter back to Indiana from here, Art McNeil. He was there this morning. Writing a story, I guess, I don't know. I don't think he could learn anything if things go on the way they have been going. I thought you'd be interested.
Mr. Gould. Thanks for dropping by.
Find anything?
In a way. At least I was right about nobody even mentioning martinis. What about you?
I thought you'd never ask.
All right, I asked.
3.5 weeks ago, Kimball was spotted in Lexington. That's 364 miles from this desk. How about that?
Yeah, how about that?
But I was only waiting for the right time. Yes, that's right. But I want them to stay out of the way. I don't want any confusion. Yes, Ted, it will be an interesting experiment. Tomorrow, yes. Thank you.
I'm leaving. Came to say thank you.
You said that on the telephone. If you meant it, you wouldn't be here.
You said you had an idea on the phone and then you hung up.
And you want to know about my idea?
Well, I would like to know what kind of an obstacle course I have to run to get out of here.
One of the cardinal rules of victory, young man, is never to turn your back on the enemy. Now, hold on now. Hear me out. Tomorrow can be decisive in that classroom. Not for them. For us, you and me. Nancy's gone to find you a different hotel room. Secondly, if Gould were any threat, he wouldn't have come to see you. Thirdly, no one need see you tomorrow. You can watch from right in here.
What do you mean I can watch?
Ted Masters, the head of the television department, has been after me all year to let his kids have a crack at televising one of our mock trials. I gave him permission to do so tomorrow. It really isn't you they're after anyhow. They want to haul me through the mud. Don't miss it, Doctor.
You have a new hotel room. Here's the address.
Dr. Kimball, you claimed as part of your alibi that at the time of the murder, you were at the river where you saw a boy fishing. Is that right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yet you just heard that boy testify he didn't see anyone at the river. Would you not like to change your testimony?
No.
You had, however, been to that portion of the riverbank before.
I suppose so. Yes.
Then isn't it possible that on some previous night you might have seen the same boy and had remembered him?
No, I only saw him that night.
Oh, come on, Doctor. Are you sure you haven't seen that boy before? I mean, you'd been there before. He'd been there before. Isn't it possible you might have seen him?
Objection. The boy never testified that he'd been there before.
He's been there 3 or 4 times a week.
Your Honor, counsel is out of order.
Look, I can call that boy back on the stand and make him testify he's been there 3 or 4 times a week.
You already dismissed that witness, and now you're trying to put words in his mouth.
In the interest of justice, I think I'll allow Mr. Gould to continue.
His actions are outside the scope of proper cross-examination, and I demand that both questions and answers be stricken.
Mr. Laser, the court, if it wishes, can call the boy back for questioning. Therefore, I'll overrule your objection. You may continue, Mr. Gould.
Mr. Tyler, I'm telling you that this line of questioning is out of order, and I'm instructing you to sustain my objection. Mr. Tyler?
Objection sustained.
I'd like to tell this court.
Yes, Mr. Gould.
Forget it.
I think we'll adjourn until 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Just a minute, Mr. Gould. I think it's time you learned a few things about how to conduct yourself as a man and as a lawyer. Right now, you're not much of either. You're surface bright, Mr. Gould, like those children's toys they make now. But they break easily. They snap between your fingers. The least amount of pressure and they're in pieces on the floor. They're just toys, Mr. Gould, not the real thing. You know why? Because they haven't got the strength. They're just like you, Mr. Gould. They don't have the insides. You know what I'm saying, Mr. Gould? They're cheap, and they're infantile, and they're gutless.
Hey, kid.
The name is Gould.
All right, all right. What's everybody getting so excited about? It's only a game, isn't it?
A game? Ask him if it's a game.
You want some company?
Might not be back for quite a while.
It's okay with me.
Get in.
No, I haven't seen him, but it figures he's around somewhere.
Oh, you mean it's only a hunch?
Well, sure, it's a hunch. But you know, old lasers always try to give some sleeping dog a kick in the head. And then there's that business about drinking, right? It figures he must have got that from Kimball himself.
Nah, he could have made that up.
Oh, come on, Pulaski. Just add it up, will you? And then toss in that Lexington tip. Oh, now I'm finally coming across. I'm doing you a favor, you cretin. Yeah, they'll be here all afternoon. Okay? Okay. He's a nice cop, and he must take thick pills.
He's going along.
At the risk of my neck, if he comes up empty.
And it wasn't as if my father were a lawyer or anything. As a matter of fact, he was a salesman. You want to hear the topper? You ready? He was a toy salesman. Funny, huh?
Why the law?
There was never any question of anything else. Except kids grow up with Robin Hood or Monte Cristo. With me, it was always Earl Stanley Gardner or famous jury trials. So when it came time to choosing a law school, there wasn't any question. Wherever G. Stanley Laser was going to teach, that's where I was going to be. You know that he even worked with Darrow once?
Well, there are some people that said that Darrow wasn't such a saint either.
Yeah, but I wasn't looking for a saint.
To go. You know what he's trying to do. He's trying to prove to me that he can get me off in a new trial.
Yeah, I figured that.
Look, he's an old man. He's bitter. Yeah, he's bitter, but maybe he has a reason. The fact is that he picked you because he thought you'd give him a fight. When he took the boxing gloves off in that courtroom this afternoon, you turned around and you ran.
He was hitting below the belt. You knew that.
Well, then hit back. What do you think a murder trial is?
You know, what you're asking me to do isn't easy. I mean, going back in there after this.
Nothing's easy. You want a little advice? Just don't look in a mirror, any kind of a mirror, ever again in your life, because you're not going to like what you see if you don't go back.
You want to ride back?
So I paid for the beer. You in there?
He's sorry for it, I know it.
Is he?
He's put all his hopes in this case, and it's going badly.
I'm supposed to go in there and hold his hand. Dear Mr. Chips, we're so sorry you're old and mean. But we love you anyway. Is that the way it goes? He's back.
A masochist.
That boy actually worshipped you. God knows why, but you were the man he wanted to be. In fact, he was so hung on the legend of the great G. Stanley Laser that he believed everything you said in there this afternoon was true. He was angry, but he believed what you said.
Where was I wrong?
I'll tell you where you were right. You said he was good. Yeah, he's good. In fact, he's so good that he's making the great Stanley Laser look bad.
What? Trial's not over yet.
He's winning.
I don't know that he's winning.
Oh, yes, you do. If it weren't for that wounded vanity of yours, you'd be proud of it.
Proud of Gould driving that car. My wife was driving, and she lost control, and she was killed because she was not sober. How do you think I know about a neglected wife's capacity for martinis? Perhaps I didn't indulge her, but I had loved her too much to lose her that way. And I loved my profession too much to be cut off like this, to rot in the
fault that you are 70 years old. They didn't drive the car. They didn't put you in that wheelchair. But you won't put the blame where it belongs, will you? So they're guilty. No trial, nothing. Guilty. And what are they guilty of, Professor? Of being young? Are they guilty of wanting to be what you were? What, are they guilty of trespassing on some private little kingdom of yours? Just what are they guilty of?
You would have made a good lawyer yourself, Doctor.
You didn't even hear me.
I heard. Are you all through?
I'm sorry.
Trial will be starting in a few minutes. You better get back.
We believe the state has proved its case beyond any reasonable doubt. Richard Kimball did willfully and deliberately take the life of another human being, his wife. Therefore, he must pay the penalty as demanded by the law. It matters not that he is a member of an honorable profession, a doctor whose very oath binds him irrevocably to the preservation of human life, yet he brutally and wantonly destroyed a human life. Because I believe so strongly in the principle of equal justice under the law, I have no doubt that after due deliberation, you will bring back the only possible verdict. Guilty of murder in the first degree.
I want to call Pulaski again. Maybe I can light a fire.
Gentlemen, I am forced to say that the state has presented a very strong case. And it has presented that case in a thoroughly skillful manner. True, each element in the state's case is based wholly and completely on circumstantial evidence.
Here we go.
But it is also true that we have been unable affirmatively to refute such evidence except through the testimony of the defendant himself. And this has not been enough. I suppose I should take this opportunity to attack the state's case in some slashing display of rhetoric, to cloud the real issues with some sort of legalistic double talk. However, the district attorney has left little room for this, and I have too much respect for the intelligence of you gentlemen to expect success from such tactics. But I should like you to consider, if you will, the defendant himself. What manner of human being are we judging here today? A member of one of the great professions, he now stands before this court, even as the most humble supplicant. And what he asks from you is only this: compassion. He's a man whose very vocation demanded a dedication far beyond that required of the ordinary man.
Talking about Kimball.
He never was.
He has no one now. His wife, a lonely woman, taken from this earth in a pointless and insane...
Can't leave the courtroom.
You may, in your discretion, and if you find against the defendant, include in your verdict a recommendation with respect to the sentence.
Hey, buddy, would you do me a favor? My girl's in the back over there in front of the cop, and her sorority'd really get a kick out of it if they could see her on television.
You understand?
Kids said they got about a dozen seconds.
Set in Liza's office was still warm. The secretary claimed she was using it.
Take the door.
Get Johnson and Carver, let's get out of here. Look, if he was around here, which I doubt, he's had plenty of time to get away. Now, I'm not going to take a dozen men off their job just because you've got some hunch. And the next time you get one of your great ideas, call somebody else, huh?
I understand he started out as a crosswalk guard. I'll bet he was good at it. Come on, let's go.
Gentlemen, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. Didn't take long.
Will the defendant rise and face the jury? What is that verdict?
We find the defendant not guilty.
Then you're sure you don't want to go through with it?
You? You know as well as I do that verdict yesterday was mine, not yours. They were letting me off. An intangible, Doctor. There's some kind of chemistry that works against you. You, a doctor, accused as you are. You're going to have to find your one-armed man.
Well, then you do believe I'm innocent?
Of course. I'll get going. I've got a few young minds that need twisting.
Thanks, Professor.
Thank you.
Another town, another name. The search continues, and Richard Kimball now knows beyond any doubt that it must continue. There is no resting place for a fugitive.
Ellie, this thing you're doing for me...
Oh, correction. For me? You think I'm a sweet, demure, self-sacrificing little thing?
No, I think you're something extra special. I think you deserve a lot more than this.
Oh, hear, hear.
You know what I've been through? Any kind of love or marriage or...
Now, I really don't see anyone holding a shotgun on you. You'll wake up one morning and find you love me, too. Until then, here's to a long and happy status quo.
The Fugitive. A QM production. Starring David Jansen as Dr. Richard Kimball, an innocent victim of blind justice, falsely convicted for the murder of his wife. Reprieved by fate when a train wreck freed him en route to the death house. Freed him to hide in lonely desperation, to change his identity, to toil at many jobs. Freed him to search for a one-armed man he saw leave the scene of the crime. Freed him to run before the relentless pursuit of the police lieutenant obsessed with his capture.
The guest stars in tonight's story, Suzanne Plachette, Carmen Matthews, also starring Barry Morse as Lieutenant Philip Gerard. Tonight's episode, World's End.
Another dreary town, another shabby street. Another weary pause on Richard Kimball's search for a man with one arm, his only real hope for escaping a life of fear.
A bowl of soup, any kind.
No front page. Richard Kimball turns directly to the classified section. Here are the things that really matter. A room, a job, a way to stay alive. And tonight, something else. Personal to RK. Have information regarding September 17th. Phone me at home. Urgent. EB. The 17th was the night Kimball's wife was murdered.
Relax, it's probably Bob. He's only called twice.
Hello? Hello?
Who is this?
This is Ellie. Who's this?
Ellie, it's me. I read your personal.
Richard? Richard?
Can you talk?
Well, yes, of course I can speak. That is provided I can get my breath back. It was the wildest possible chance. I didn't know where you were. I've been running that ad for a week.
I know. You see, I just...
Did I say a week? It seems more like... Well, Richard, you don't know. Just sitting here, waiting, trying to pray, telling myself you'd have to see it. You just have to.
Is it that important?
Well, Mr. Keller seems to think it is. You remember that private investigator Daddy put on just before he died? Well, he's finally earning his keep. I think he's got a lead.
What?
The man you've been looking for, the one-armed man. Richard?
Is he sure?
Well, you're the only one who can be sure. You'd have to identify him yourself.
Where?
Well, last we heard, he was in Missouri 2 days ago. Richard, when could you meet me in Kansas City?
Kansas City. Tomorrow, if I can get a bus tonight.
Tomorrow? Well, I'll be at the Missouri Manor. You be careful, huh?
Ellie, thanks. Thanks.
Well, a brandy wouldn't hurt either of us.
Oh. Did I make any sense at all?
Not to me.
Oh, well, I wasn't talking to you.
I'm on your wavelength. Sue me. You didn't tell me that you were planning to meet him. You know there's nothing definite yet.
Well, it could be definite any minute. Then he'd need help. He'd need a friend.
Friend?
Oh, do I detect an ugly, skeptical note in your voice?
Oh, come off it, Ellie. You're in love with him. Just as you were all through the trial, the way you sat and looked at him.
Now you're making noises like a mother. When will you understand that I like Richard Kimball? I want to help him. That's it. The end. Period.
You've got a date with Bob tomorrow night.
Well, you're just going to have to tell him that. Hello? Reservations? I'd like a round-trip ticket to Kansas City, Missouri, your earliest possible flight. Well, yes, that would be fine. Eleanor Burnett.
Ellie, I don't want you to go.
Well, no, that won't be necessary. I'll pick them up at the airport. Thank you.
I check the out-of-town papers every couple of weeks.
How long has this been running?
7 days.
Where?
New York, L.A., Pittsburgh. I haven't checked the rest. I bet she spent a lot of money.
She?
Eleanor Burnett. Those are her initials. She's in love with him.
Do you know that?
I know she never missed a single session of the trial. That's when it happened, I guess. Even now, my wife and I go there for dinner. Ellie's talking about Kimball before we get to the soup. Well, not talking so much, probing, digging, trying to find out what I know.
Phil, if you'd rather let someone else follow through on this...
Someone else?
I mean, in view of your friendship for the Burnetts, I'm sure you don't want to hurt the girl.
I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want to close out some unfinished business.
Said you found him. You phoned me. He was alive 3 days ago.
And the next night, he was dead.
Fire. Burned to death in a fire.
I didn't find out till yesterday.
And there's nothing. Dr. Kimball hasn't got a hope. You can't prove a word of what he said if this was the man he was looking for.
Well, we're still not sure.
Well, you've got the proof right here. That farmer knew them. You said you showed him a sketch of the one-armed man. He identified him as a man who died in his barn.
Well, he could have made a mistake or had a reason. I'll start checking, backtracking, see what I can find.
You think there's a chance?
And I would like to stay with the case. Of course, I'm at the point now where I can hardly give guarantees.
Well, I hope you understand, Mr. Keller, that I need proof. No maybes, no might-be's. Proof. I've got to be sure.
I'll try.
Ellie.
Richard, it's been so long.
2 years.
Well, you try counting it in hours and minutes sometime.
When I read your ad last night, just to know that someone somewhere wanted to help a friend. And then when I found out that you found him.
Richard.
You know what that means, Ellie? Do you?
Richard, listen.
To walk down the street anywhere in any city, and if somebody asks me, I can say my name is Kimball, Richard Kimball. They used to think I was a murderer. Where is he? When can I see him?
Well, you must be tired. You've been riding in a bus all night. I took a room for you.
And I have a room, the Edmund Hotel.
Well, how about some lunch? I know what we need, champagne. No reunion is complete without champagne.
Ellie. Ellie. Where is he?
You have to understand, Richard, we're not certain. Mr. Keller didn't get there till afterwards.
After what?
Well, it may be some other one-armed man, not the one you're looking for.
What are you trying to say? I mean, what is it? Where is he?
He died in a fire.
Ellie's meeting him someplace, isn't she?
Phil, she wants to help him prove he's innocent. Is that such a crime?
The law says it is. Aiding and abetting an interstate fugitive. She could pick up a prison sentence. I want to help you both. Where is she, Ada?
I can't tell you.
We've been friends for a long time. Don't make me be a cop.
Phil, I can't. I can't betray her. I can't betray Richard.
You don't betray a convicted murderer. I hoped you'd want to help your daughter. Oh, never mind. I'll find her. Star of Belgium, isn't it? I remember John was pruning this that Sunday afternoon when he told us that he believed in Kimball and was going to defend him. I told him he'd regret it someday.
He never did.
He never saw what it was doing to his family. I'm sorry, Ada. Lieutenant Gerard to headquarters.
Come in, Lieutenant.
I want to put out a tracer on Eleanor Burnett, B-U-R-N-E-T-T. Probably left town within the last couple of days.
Know where she might have been heading, Lieutenant?
If I knew that, I wouldn't need the tracer.
Not at all, sir. Sorry we couldn't have been more help to you. Right. Oh, Lieutenant, I got lucky on that tracer, that Eleanor Burnett.
Yeah?
She left last night, Midwest Airlines, flight 12, 11:05 p.m., arrived Kansas City, 1:15 a.m.
Kansas City. Well, get me a seat next available flight in teletype, Kansas City. Attention, Captain Walker. Give him my flight number and just say, request your cooperation, re Richard Kimball. Believe him to be in your area.
Yes, sir.
What keeps your motor running full speed like that?
Well, this. Telling myself, if he's dead, I'm dead. If he's dead, I'm dead.
We're not sure he's dead.
I've got to be sure, Ellie. I'm going out to the phone.
Springvale, that's 30 miles away.
There's a bus.
Why? You got Keller's report. The farmer identified the sketch.
Well, the artist had was words. You never saw the one-armed man. Ellie, I lived with that face in front of me for 2 years. I kept telling myself, well, that's all right, because someday I'll find him. Someday I'll make him confess. And I'll be free.
Oh, Richard, you're punishing yourself.
Maybe I am, but I've got to make sure. I've got to talk to that farmer. Ellie, there might be one little thing, one little word, I don't know, a little something that was overlooked that'll tell me that it wasn't my man.
And if it wasn't?
I'll keep looking.
For how long?
As long as it takes.
I rented a car. It's in the garage.
What would I do without you?
You've got a bigger problem. What are you going to do with me?
Come in here and got himself drunk. Sheriff found an empty bottle. Could have knocked over that kerosene lamp and not even know.
You said you talked to him earlier.
Mm-hmm. Right after supper. He walked in out of the night and asked for work.
But you didn't have any work.
I always got work. I didn't like the look of him. I didn't want him hanging around my wife and kid. This belly of mine. I got worries enough. Anyway, last I saw of him, he was heading back to the road.
How long would you say you talked to him?
A couple of minutes, maybe.
And it was dark.
Pretty dark, out by the barn.
Can you still be sure that this was the man?
That's right.
I mean, it was dark. You only talked to him for a couple of minutes.
Look, you told me this guy's a buddy of yours, okay. You told me you wanted to ask me some questions, okay. Now, if you're trying to call me a liar or something...
No, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm saying the memory plays tricks.
How about your wife? Did she talk to him?
No, I'm the only one who talked to him.
Did she see him? No, never did. I'll tell you what. Charlie Watts, he took charge of the body, what was left of it. He's the mortician in Springfield. You might try him.
Bill, if you're going to the doctor, you better be going.
Just leaving, Gracie. This belly of mine. People say that farming's healthy. Some joke. I got one worry on top of another. There's enough to kill a man.
How far is it to Springfield?
About 6 miles. You can follow me.
Looks like you're out of luck, son. Coroner closed the case. I cremated him this morning. I wouldn't take it too hard, though. There wasn't no way you could have identified him.
His arms. Which one was missing?
Well, if I recollect rightly, it was his right one. Yeah, just above the elbow.
Could you make a guess at his height, weight?
Well, maybe. If I had to, I'd say he was 5'10", heavy, kind of broad in the beam. Well, those are just guesses, you understand.
Yeah, they're good enough.
Well, it's plain to see that this fella meant a lot to you. I'm sorry, but you'll get over it. You just take my word for it. You got a whole wonderful life ahead of you, son.
That's incredible. How did you get it?
Well, even a blind chicken picks up an acorn once in a while. Newland wasn't home when I went back to the farm. That gave me a chance to talk to his wife. Well, she was worried right from the start. But the more questions I asked, the more worried she got. So I took a long shot. I suggested that she was very lucky, that this one-armed man was a murderer. Lied, and that brought it on fast.
What'd she say?
4 years ago, she had married Newland. She came here from Nebraska with her baby. A widow, she said.
Confidential interview. Mrs. Newland was not a widow when she married present husband. Man who died in fire was father of a son named Barney Willis. She had helped send him to prison. He was trying to blackmail her. She swears she had nothing to do with his death.
Willis, 2 years ago, was in the Nebraska State Prison. He couldn't possibly have been the man who murdered Mrs. Kimball.
Well, then Dr. Kimball's one-armed man is still very much alive.
Yes, ma'am. I'm afraid he'll just have to keep looking.
Police department. Yes, ma'am. Just give me the address. We'll have somebody out there right away.
Sergeant Keith, this is Lieutenant Gerard.
Oh, Lieutenant. Thank you. And thanks for sending the car to the airport.
Captain Walker said to tell you the department's yours. Just say what you want.
I want Kimball.
We'll try to get him for you.
You can start with a girl. Find her for me, I'll buy you the best dinner in town.
What's her name?
Eleanor Burnett.
They're sure. They're all sure. Newland, the undertaker. They're all sure it was him.
Richard, listen.
They're sure. I wish I could be. Let's add another report.
Oh, I was trying to tell you, the man in the fire.
I know, he's mine. And they're right, aren't they? Well, I found the proof. You didn't want to tell me. He's dead.
Would that be so bad? If he were dead? No more wasting your life, no more chasing ghosts.
No more chance to prove the truth.
It's not the end of the world. There are other worlds, other places, other countries. We could go to Brazil. You'd be safe, so they can't extradite you from Brazil.
He's dead, Emmett.
We could charter a plane. We could fly out tonight. Richard, it could be wonderful.
He's dead.
Richard? Richard?
Give me the Missouri Manor, please. Yeah, I'd like to speak to Miss Ellie Burnett. Thank you. Ellie, it's me. Look, I'm sorry about last night.
You have the wrong room. My name is Burnett.
Whoever it was, you bit his head off. That's not like you, Ellie.
Oh, what am I like, Lieutenant?
I always thought you were like your father, meaning the best.
Well, you made your pretty speeches, Phil. What comes next? The grilling? I suppose that's the routine.
No grilling, no routine. You tell me you don't know where Kimball is? Fine. I'm taking your word. With some small confirmation, of course. We had the hotel staked out last night. I felt sure that if our friend were in town, that he'd have dropped by to see you.
You're very sharp, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Even though you did make the trip for nothing.
Why did you make it?
I told you. I had a lead on the one-armed man.
You didn't find him.
Not this time.
You never will. He doesn't exist outside of Kimball's mind.
Because you don't want him to exist?
And you do. Because you can't face the truth. That you're in love with a murderer.
By your definition.
By the jury's. But he won't hurt you, Ellie. I won't let him. I'm going to find him and put him where he can't hurt anyone.
Well, I think you said everything, Phil. Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to get dressed.
I tried to help you. I'm sorry. I won't bother you again.
Hello. Would you get me the Edmund Hotel, please?
Yes?
Richard, I'm sorry I couldn't talk before, but Phil Gerard was here.
Gerard?
He doesn't know you're in town. I'm sure he doesn't.
He'll find out.
Well, it won't matter because we'll be gone by then. Richard, do you remember what we talked about? Well, I found a plane we can charter, and there's a private airport just outside of town. Richard, are you there? Do you know what that means?
Yeah, I know what it means.
The way you sound, am I that hard to take?
What was in that last report? What made Keller so sure? What proof did he find? Ellie, I've got to know.
Well, that man, the one who died in the fire, he got threatening and he let it slip.
What?
He said he'd killed a woman 2 years ago, he told Mrs. Newland. Richard, I am sorry. I only wish... But I think you've got to accept it now. There's nothing to hold you anymore. We could fly out tonight. Richard, where can I meet you?
There's an inn in Springvale.
Springvale, is that safe?
I've got to see Mrs. Newland.
Richard, you saw her once. What good will it do? Please don't go there, please.
Ellie, I'll pick you up at the Springvale Inn around 8 o'clock.
That was her, Miss Burnett, room 304. She just hung up.
What number did she call?
Grand 14471. The Edmund Hotel.
Yeah, it's across town, about 3 miles. Like the lady says, you're a sharp one, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
I just work here.
Is this man registered?
Hard to say. We got lots of guests right now.
No, we're just asking about this one, so unless you'd rather we put a lock on the joint.
What for?
Resorting? You take another look, friend.
Could be Mr. May. 501.
Is he up there now?
Yeah.
Passkey. Thanks. So that's all the place.
You shoot an arrow into the air. This part of town is pretty hard to miss.
Checking out. Cops. They're upstairs. Use the back door. Union Station.
Right. Jack? Okay, I'll talk to you later. Well, he took the cab to the station, didn't go in. Then he took another cab to City Hall, and that's as far as they've been able to trace him.
You tipped him off.
Why should I? I told you I'm stuck for his bill.
Please, my husband is sick enough. If he should ever hear us.
Your husband said that you'd never seen that one on there.
Right, so I told a lie. Well, I had to. My husband was standing right there.
But you told the truth to the investigator.
Oh, now. Don't you start making trouble over that. All I gotta do is call Mr. Newland, and sick or no sick, lie or no lie, he'll take after you with a shotgun.
All I want is the truth. Did you see the one on there?
Well, of course I seen him.
What happened? What did he say? What did he do? Did he threaten you?
I told the investigator.
Well, tell me. Did he say he'd ever killed a woman?
Is that all you want to know?
Did he ever kill a woman?
Yes. Yes.
How long ago? A year, 2 years?
2 years. That's what he said. He killed some woman 2 years ago.
Ray!
You sure?
Of course I'm sure. That's what he said. Did you really come out here all that way? Just ask me that?
Ray!
Hello, this is Eleanor Burnett in 304. Would you get my bill ready? I'm checking out. Thank you.
Do you greet all your friends like a sumo wrestler?
Well, that lady's no friend. That lady's my mother. Oh, this is for the 10 o'clock train to San Francisco. Thank you.
San Francisco?
Well, that's for Phil Gerard.
Phil?
He follows me here. I think he's still snooping around.
I talked with Mr. Keller's office. They said it was the wrong man. That's why I flew out. There's nothing you can do for Richard now.
You want to quote me odds? Look, you better take a deep breath and fasten your seatbelt, because I'm going to tell you something you're not going to like. I'm going away with Richard.
That's a very bad joke.
It's no joke. I'm meeting him in Springvale at 8 o'clock. The Springvale Inn. From there we go to Tucker Field. It's a private airport where I've chartered a big white bird to whisk us away to Mexico City and from there to Brazil. Phil can't touch him in Brazil.
So Richard's giving up? And the one-armed man?
He thinks he's dead. Died in that fire 3 nights ago.
Well, that's the wrong man. You know that's the wrong man. Well, they don't. As long as Richard knows that the one-armed man is alive, as long as there's a hope of finding...
Oh, you'd have to figure his chances with a computer. In the meantime, both our lives are wasted. Running, dying a little bit every day, yes. Both of us dying. Don't argue with me, love. I've thought it all out.
I always knew that you were stubborn and reckless. I never knew I'd raised a liar and a cheat.
I'm sorry. I'm late.
Ellie, don't do it.
I'll call you.
I won't let you, Ellie.
I left.
I won't let you. Hello, operator. Get me police headquarters, please.
Not a trace of him.
Now, come on, Ada. Every minute you hold me up, you push her closer to the edge. Come on now, tell me. Where did they go?
I don't know.
But you called me. You had information.
I was wrong.
Ada, you know me. I'm no rookie cop. And I know you. You acted on a decent impulse and called me. But then you started to worry.
That's not true.
Because you've never been able to say no to her. Never. Since she broke her first expensive toy. Whatever Darling wanted, Darling got.
Phil, please.
But loving isn't just giving in all the time. The child picks up a jar of poison. And this could hurt her more.
Phil, could you keep her name out of it?
That's a promise.
They've chartered a plane. They're flying out tonight. Tucker Field.
Don't beat yourself, Ada. You've done the best thing you could for her.
For her?
Springvale, and good evening. Pardon? Yes, we're the only inn in Springvale. I beg your pardon. We have a wedding party. If you could talk a little slower.
This is Mrs. Burnett, Ada Burnett. I'm trying to reach my daughter, Eleanor. I believe she's there.
If you'll hold on, ma'am, I'll be glad to pay you. Telephone for Miss... Telephone for Miss Eleanor Burnett. Miss Burnett, please.
You saw her? Anything?
Nothing new?
It was getting late. I was beginning to get worried. I thought I was being ditched at somebody else's altar.
Use a drink.
I heard you the first time.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. If she comes in, I'll be sure to tell her. Yes, ma'am. I have the description. Thank you.
I would like a martini if you just kind of wave the vermouth over it, huh?
Make it two.
Where were you? It took you so long.
Driving around, thinking. Trying to, find the words.
For what?
Well, I haven't found them yet.
Oh.
Ellie, this thing you're doing for me,
Oh, correction. For me? I think I'm a sweet, demure, self-sacrificing little thing.
No, I think you're something extra special. I think you deserve a lot more than this.
Oh, here.
You know what I've been through? Any kind of love or marriage or...
Now, I really don't see anyone holding a shotgun on you. Richard. I love you, you know that. So much so I'm willing to take my chances. You'll wake up one morning and find you love me too. Until then, here's to a long and happy status quo. Here you are.
Well, we better get going. Yeah?
Excuse me, would your name be Burnett? Eleanor Burnett?
Why, yes.
I have a message from your mother. She wants you to call her at the hotel. Said to tell you it was very important.
Thank you.
I didn't know she was here.
Shall we go?
We got to find out what's important.
I know what's important.
Lieutenant Gerard. What's that?
I'd like to get another car out on the road.
It'd be pretty tough to hide it, Lieutenant. You say he's pretty cautious. We could put a man in the plane if you like.
Good. Well, Sergeant, tell your men to be careful. The girl.
Right.
Right.
Still change your mind?
Might as well fly down to Rio. I've got nothing else to do tonight, have you?
I've got nothing else to do the rest of my life. That's funny I can say that, the rest of my life.
Do you know that they speak Portuguese in Brazil?
Ellie, I'm trying to thank you.
I know. I'm trying to ignore it.
I have to say it sometime.
Oh, Richard.
A man can't live without hope. There's nothing, no meaning to anything. It's like watching TV with the sound off. I found out the one-armed man was dead. I thought that was the end. I guess it would have been except for you.
Richard, please.
I lost one hope, I found another. New world, new life.
Ellie? What happened about the airplane?
Oh, Mother. I bought it. I'm having it bronzed. I'm sorry, that wasn't very nice. I phoned. I canceled the plane.
Honey, I know I made mistakes.
Well, I'll make a deal with you. You forget your mistakes, I'll forget mine.
Where is he?
He's gone.
I want a straight answer, Ellie. Where is he?
I don't know, Phil.
You've lost him.
Yes, I guess I have. Then it's almost worthwhile. Because you lost him, too.
Where will Richard Kimball go? Wherever the bus is going. Wherever the fates will take him. Wherever there is a hope of finding the one-armed man. And now, once again, there is that hope.
You buy.
What makes you so certain she didn't kill him?
I was with him.
Doesn't that make some sort of point? She'd pick up someone like you, a vagrant?
She didn't pick me up.
What else and why? If we're talking maybes, let me suggest one. Who was with her out there at the Proctor place? Who gave her a hand?
With the gun.
With a murder. She couldn't bring off alone.
The Fugitive. A QM production. Starring David Jansen as Dr. Richard Kimball, an innocent victim of blind justice, falsely convicted for the murder of his wife. Reprieved by fate when a train wreck freed him en route to the death house. Freed him to hide in lonely desperation, to change his identity, to toil at many jobs. Freed him to search for a one-armed man he saw leave the scene of the crime. freed him to run before the relentless pursuit of the police lieutenant obsessed with his capture.
The guest stars in tonight's story, Lois Nettleton, John Larch, Patricia Smith. Tonight's episode, Man on a String.
The road is endless for Richard Kimball. Endless, uncertain.
Lark? Lark, is that you?
I'm sorry. I thought it was...
You need some help?
Yeah, the sort of thing's gone on strike.
Just quit running?
No. I was parked, and then when I went to start it up, I was waiting for someone, and he didn't show, so I was stood up.
Battery okay?
Yeah, the darn engine turns over, just won't catch. I've been cussing it out.
Well, maybe you don't know the right words. Mind if I try?
Yeah, thanks. I'm Lucy Russell. How are you? I'm tired.
Joe Walker. Why don't you sit in the car? Hope I can help.
I feel better already.
Try to start it.
Hey, you're smart.
Your carburetor was flooded. Let it run a while.
They say it's nice to have a man around the house. Me, I'll take one for the road. I bet you're a careful driver, too. You are headed for Overton, aren't you?
Well, yes, but...
And you're going my way, and thank you very much. Just the cheese and jam. I mostly eat at the Golden Cage. It's a crummy place. I work there. You know, there's something about you. I don't know exactly.
Maybe it's the way I eat crackers.
You know, a girl should never say to a guy, "You remind me of another man I know." But you remind me of another man I know. Is that a laugh?
I don't know.
It's a laugh. He stood me up. You came along. Hey, even your voice sounds a little bit like him when you talk. I hate arguments. Do you hate arguments?
I hate arguments.
I hate them. And I've been hating this one all day.
This one?
This one that I was going to have with Lark Adams, only you showed up instead, so I didn't. Now, if he would just stop showing up altogether... Am I making myself clear?
No.
I'm glad he didn't show up. Clear enough?
Who is Lark Adams?
I've been asking myself that for 6 years. But on the other hand, who are you? Where were you going when we chanced to meet on the roadside of life?
I don't. See.
He's not here. I haven't seen him all night.
I'll tell her.
Well, thank you. I guess I better be going.
It's late. Not much chance of getting a lift.
Well, the highway's only 3 miles away.
I wouldn't put a dog out this time of night. If you're worried about my reputation, you couldn't make it any worse in this town.
Well, what about mine?
You're safe. Of course, George Washington never slept here. But I do have an Aunt Martha. There you are. Clean night table. Compliments of the management. You know something, Joe Walker? You've got a face.
Well, thank you, if that's a compliment.
It's a compliment. You'd better lock the door before you go to sleep. We've had prowlers.
You shouldn't have come over here. Amy, a woman don't want to look at her husband when he's not like this. Amy.
time for the autopsy, Jake.
No question he was shoved through the rail.
Yeah. Unless he fell.
Lark Adams?
Well, he could have had a couple of belts too many.
Someone moved the body. He landed there. We found him over there. Somebody moved him.
Well, like who?
Well, all I know is someone called him up at the tavern, made a date to meet him out here. I got 2 witnesses say it was Lucy Russell.
Well, yeah, I mean, right is right. Just because she had a date don't mean that she killed him.
Well, somebody did. Somebody was here. Long enough.
A long walk from where?
The old Proctor cottage.
I was walking into town.
What time? I mean, what happened out there?
My car broke down.
Around 11:15, a truck driver gave me a lift to the crossroads.
George, what in the world?
We better go inside. Lucy, what time did you leave the Golden Cage last night?
10:45. Lark asked me to call him at the tavern, and I did, and I said I'd meet him out by the old Proctor cottage by 11. And then he never showed up. And if you see him, you can tell him from me next time...
Lucy, he's dead.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry.
He can't be dead.
He was killed last night. Doc says between 10:30 and midnight. So, that leaves you only maybe 15 minutes to explain.
Leaves me?
You don't think she did?
Then what I think, it's what Jake Meade thinks. He's the sheriff, I'm only the deputy.
She didn't kill anyone. She didn't even know he was dead. I was with her.
All right. I suppose you come with me and tell it to the sheriff.
The sheriff?
Who else? You're the only alibi she's got. Come on, bring the bag.
Come over.
No, I wanted to help. If there was anything you had to know.
I think we know.
Enough trouble already this morning. He shouldn't have called you in. He didn't have to dump you right into this mess.
He can't help it at night. I'd rather get it over with. George, I appreciate your kindness.
Well, Amy Adams, Locke's wife. Well, let's go talk to Jake.
About what? What's he done?
Oh, nothing, Jake. But you're wrong about Lucy. He can prove it. He was with her last night.
On the road. I saw a car. It was stalled. I helped to get it started. She gave me a ride into town. She didn't see this fellow Lark. She thought I was Lark.
Name?
Joe Walker.
From?
Buffalo, New York.
Business?
Well, I don't have a job right now. I was just, passing through looking for work.
Identification?
Oh, come on, Jake. He's only a witness.
You saw that little lady leaving just now? Somebody hurt her pretty bad. Somebody's going to answer for it. You wouldn't be smart to get in the way.
Well, I thought you just might like to know that somebody is not Lucy Russell, that's all.
You're having an inquest in a couple of days. If you want to stay and testify, it's up to you.
Boy, I wouldn't say he had his mind made up.
isn't anyone in this town interested in evidence.
Well, they'd have to be if you were to stay and testify. Well, you are going to stay. Well, now look, it's just a couple of days to you. It could mean her life. Why, this town, they'd hang her in a minute and make it a holiday. Well, you wouldn't let them do that, would you?
No, I guess not.
So Maury Wills takes the ball. That makes it 3 balls and 1 strike on Wills, hitting right-handed against Warren Spahn. Spahn, apparently a little upset on the ball, just turns his back on home plate for a moment, rubbing up the ball.
All right. I better come coffee.
Now Spahn turns around, gets on the rubber, looks in to
There
get
might be a short wait. I'm kind of rushed.
Spahn into his windup and delivers too high, ball boy. So Maury Wills opens up the ball game with a base on balls, and the batter will be Willie Davis. The Dodgers, of course, have several weapons at their command.
Where is everyone?
The speed of Wills at first.
See how popular I am? It's funny, not even the sheriff's been out. And there's got to be questions he wants to ask.
He knows you're innocent. He knows I was with you.
George called me. He said you were going to testify.
I had it written all down. Had it notarized. It's what they call a deposition.
You're not going to be here?
Well, Lucy, anything I could say's in there. You just show them that, and they can't hurt you.
You don't know this town. If they get the chance, they'll rip me apart like a bunch of wolves.
But I hate to run out like this and
stay.
I can't stay.
Why not? Joe. Joe, you can tell me.
Can't tell you, Lucy. Hang on to the deposition.
No balls and 2 strikes to Wally Moon. Bottom of the first inning, no score. Maury Wills at second. Willie Davis at first. Spahn again into his stretch. Kicks high, comes back to the plate, low and outside. Ball 1. 1-2. Spahn goes to the rosin bag, taking his time. Veteran left-hander now looks in to get his sign. Will's a pretty good lead at second, and Willie Davis not being held on at first. Moon waiting now as Spahn on the rubber and goes to his stretch. Spahn ready and delivers. Moon swings, and there goes a long drive to right.
Jake, this is Lucy Russell. Is George there?
No, he's off tonight. What? No, I got no idea.
Has Jake put her in jail yet?
Amy. You don't want to go thinking bad about Lucy Russell?
How can I help it? It isn't what I think. It's what everybody knows. She killed him.
But they could be so wrong. Don't you see? They could be so wrong.
You know, she phoned him at the tavern. Everybody was watching and listening.
But now, he didn't say right out that it was Lucy, did he? And Lark was always lying to you.
Oh, he said it was a business call.
Ah, you see? Another one of his lies. And he had no business yelling at you like that. Shoving you around. Yeah, I saw it, Amy, I saw it. I saw him do it. And I heard him. And I heard you cry. I was out in the tavern kitchen having a sandwich. Yeah, and it wasn't the first time either, now was it? He hit you plenty of times before. Right here. Right here in this house. I've heard it from just outside. And I wanted to make him stop it. I'm telling you, when I saw him slap you out in that parking lot and then just drag you out of the car.
You saw him go? You saw him go to meet her?
I saw him. And I almost went after him right then, but I wish I had him. Oh, how I wish I had him instead of... So you see, Amy, that's why I know they're wrong about Lucy. She wasn't even there.
She wasn't.
Now, Amy, believe me, it was an accident. You see, I was mad for how he hurt you last night, for all those other times.
You?
It was an accident, Amy. You gotta understand. I only wanted to beat a little decency into him. And then he went right through the rail. I didn't mean it. I was only trying to help. I only did it for you.
No. You big, stupid, clumsy fool.
So how can you lock me up for this? You read Joe Walker's deposition.
Where's this Joe Walker now?
Don't ask me. He was heading for Idaho.
You must be losing your touch.
Now, Jake, what kind of crack is that?
You meet a man, don't hold him any longer than that, just like he was never here.
But you've got his deposition. He wrote it.
Anybody can write something out.
He had it notarized.
Just takes $1 for the notary. That don't prove it's true.
Now, look, I never saw the man before. Why would he do something like that for me?
You could have paid him off, one way or another.
All right, Jake. I'll remember that. Next election.
Might be kind of hard to vote where you're going to be. I can prove you were at the old Proctor cottage last night. You smoked 3 of those and left the butts.
I never said I wasn't there.
I got witnesses say you went to meet Lark.
He never showed up and I left.
After you pushed him through the rail.
Now, why would I do a thing like that? Why?
If he told you he was through, if you got sore. As far as this town goes, it's pretty plain.
Yeah, they're gonna have a real field day, aren't they? Looking down their long blue noses.
I ain't gonna hurt no feelings locking you up.
You've gotta lock me up.
You ain't the only one that votes. Been a lot of pressure building up. Now, come on.
Any choice in the menu?
Jake. What, are you holding her?
No, she likes it here. Must be the view.
Oh, come on now, look,
I
Jake.
can't argue it now. Doc Phillips is waiting. Got to set up the inquest. Here. I'll be back in an hour.
You. I gotta break your stupid little neck. Running around the country all night. Why'd you go home after work?
You know why?
Playing games with a guy like Lark. You know what he was? A cheap, rotten, no good...
You love me, George. in his own way, out of this whole town, he loved me.
Must be true what they say about fools and children. Lucky for you, Walker's going to stay and help clear you.
Don't give any odds.
Oh, he promised me. I talked to him yesterday.
Well, that was yesterday. Today, he's gone.
You take a gal like that Lucy Russell, trying to blind the scales of justice.
How's that?
Oh, some kind of phony alibi. She got some fella to sign it for her. Drifter. Come out of nowhere and went nowhere. Gotta get up early to fool Jake Meade. Jake's our sheriff. Toss that paper of hers right out the window.
He's going to rule it out?
Already has. I tell you, this inquest's gonna be something. Doc Phillips got it set up for tomorrow. Huh. Gotta get some hustle yet back from Batesville.
And you have to get back.
Can't get out of it. I'm on the jury.
I'm so glad you came. I had to talk to you. I had to explain about last night. The words just came out wrong, that's all. I was so frightened, George. For you. I've been worried all day. Have you found him yet?
How'd you know I was looking for him?
George, the whole town knows. Have you found him?
No. Got tracers out all the way to Boise, but one chance in a million a drifter like that.
What if he's disappeared? You're not planning to... You wouldn't tell Jake how it happened.
Amy, I can't let Lucy take it from me.
George, would it be for you? Isn't she the one who really killed him? It's her fault, George. She destroyed his life, his marriage, his pride.
Oh.
Whatever you did, she forced you to it. It's her fault he treated me so badly. It's her fault you hated him. It's her fault.
No. I can't do that, Amy. I can't.
I should have known you could never hurt anyone. Only us. You'd throw it all away, everything we might have.
What? Amy, I never thought.
Lost one man, it's hard to lose another.
Amy.
Please, George, it's too soon.
I gotta get back. I'll call you later. Hey, man, you had me hung out on a line of drive. Come on, why'd you take off?
I had to find work.
Yeah, but a couple more days wouldn't make that much difference. Sneaking out, sneaking back in the dark.
Well, I couldn't leave it like that, so...
Oh, well, then why'd you run off? Hey, you in some kind of trouble? Come on, forget this. You ain't talking to the badge. As far as I know, you're all right. I mean, you came back.
We leave it at that?
All right, I guess. You know, the sheriff threw out your deposition.
Yeah, I heard that. What?
Well, he got the whole town pressuring him. Especially Amy, Clark's widow. She won't settle for less than first degree.
She has no proof?
Proof or no proof, that makes no difference. So, I tell you, you gotta stand up and you gotta say your piece. Now, the inquest is set for tomorrow morning. tell you this. If you even think about skipping out again, well, you don't. Man, you're the only chance she's got.
Unless you come up with the murderer.
Murderer?
Somebody killed one.
Got any ideas?
Who's trying so hard to blame Lucy? Who else had a reason?
Amy? Forget it. Forget it. I'll tell Lucy you're back.
I'll say I know him. Intimately. Oh, I mean, yeah, I know what you mean, but you're all wrong. You see, I'm a model, he's a photographer, and occasionally we do a job.
Mrs. Adams, I'm Joe Morgan.
You were with George the other day. Won't you come in?
Thank you.
Please sit down. May I fix one for you?
No, thank you.
I couldn't sleep. I thought a nightcap might.
Oh, Mrs. Adams.
Just for a moment, you look like Lark. It's your mouth, I think. Well, I'll have to get used to that. Turning and seeing someone. Mr. Walker, what can I do for you?
I know you've been hurt. But that's no reason to try to destroy someone.
I'm not destroying her.
Well, you are pulling pretty hard on the rope.
We have courts and judges and juries, Mr. Walker. If you have anything to say.
Unfortunately, it's not what I say, it's what you say.
Why, you the conscience of us all. Why come to me?
Because I think we both know she didn't do it.
Then tell me who did. Who else had a reason?
Just going to ask you that. Whose husband was fooling around with Lucy Russell? Who was one of the few people that knew he'd be there that night?
Mr. Walker, if I were you, I wouldn't even suggest that. I have a lot of friends in this town.
You mean the sheriff?
Jake Meade and my father grew up together. What makes you so certain she didn't kill him?
I was with her.
Doesn't that make some sort of point? She'd pick up someone like you, a vagrant?
She didn't pick me up.
What else and why? We're talking maybes, let me suggest one. Who was with her out there at the Proctor place? Who gave her a hand?
With the gun.
With a murder. She couldn't bring off alone. Don't mind, I'm tired. I have the inquest tomorrow.
Sheriff's office.
George?
Something wrong?
He's back. You're Mr. Walker.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want him back. I want him to go.
But Amy...
You heard me, George. By tomorrow morning, you get rid of him. Or I'll go to Jake. I'll go to Jake, and I'll talk, and I'll break you in two.
Sam, want some lemonade? Hot coffee and sweet rolls here. Yes, sir. Lemonade, I got ice cold lemonade, I got ice cold ice cream. Who wants some cold ice cream or some cold lemonade? I got hot dogs with mustard, relish, onions. Who wants some ice cold lemonade for a hot day? Lemonade? I got ice cold lemonade, I got ice cream, I got coffee and hot dogs. Who wants some ice cold lemonade?
Well, yeah, Amy, I guess.
You didn't do what I said.
Well, now, Amy, she didn't do it. I couldn't put it on her. If Walker doesn't say
I
anything...
warned you, George. I told you.
Now, you let me tell you. I sat here last night and I couldn't sleep, and I took a good long look at you. Sometimes when you back away, you see a thing a whole lot plainer.
Hurting me.
All right, Amy. All right, you want to talk to Jake? Go ahead, tell him. But if you push me in, you're in it, too.
Me?
That's right. They stand me up in court, I'm going to tell them the whole story. How you try to blame it on Lucy and all because you hate her. Because you were second choice after she turned him down. Lark never loved you, not for a minute, and you knew it. All right. You want in, Amy? Come on in. Come on in, but you're going to find the water's awful hot. How's your car outside?
Don't bother.
Sheriff's Office, Deputy Duncan. Oh, yeah, Judge. Well, yeah, I was just leaving. I'll be right over in a couple of minutes. Okay, Jay. Jay can't wait for me to bring you over. You ready, Lucy?
You folks understand you're a coroner's jury. All you got to do is hear the facts, decide if there was any criminal act involved in the victim's death. And if there was, and you think there's enough evidence against the suspect now being held by the sheriff, you got to so declare, so that said suspect can be properly indicted and brought to trial. That being understood, we might as well get started. Now, I was a doctor in attendance, so Jake, if you'll swear me in for the medical testimony.
Doc, will you raise your right hand? You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
I guess you can tell it in your own way.
Yeah, I made some notes so as to get it all straight and clear. Lark Adams died this past Tuesday night. Most likely sometime between 10 and midnight. When I say most likely, I mean that's about as close as I can place it by autopsy. We can narrow the time down by other evidence, but that'll come later. Death was due to a fall, resulting in contusions of the cervical spinal cord associated with the second and third cervical vertebrae. That means a broken neck. Question is, was it an accident? He went through the rail at the old Proctor cottage, and that's important. That rail's pretty well rotted out. You could lean against it and maybe go through. Only Only thing is, the body was moved 5, 6 feet from where he fell. And it's a plain medical fact he didn't move himself. Not with a broken neck like that. He must have died instantly. Well, that just about finishes my testimony. If the jury has any questions to ask.
Walker! You're forgetting, man. You got a story to tell. Try to run out on her, and I swear you'll lead off the county till your belly turns. I'll grab you first and find a reason later. Now move. They're waiting.
Before we consider any evidence, I'd like to advise the young lady in custody. Lucy, you don't have to testify against yourself. That's your constitutional right. You don't have to admit you killed him.
I didn't kill him, Doc. I didn't even see him. I was with somebody else that night.
If you got anybody that can prove that, Lucy.
Joe Walker.
Anybody named Joe Walker here? Joe Walker. Walker?
Right here, Doc.
Just listen, would you?
Well, swear him in, Jake.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Speak up.
I do. What's your name? Well, you gotta know your own name.
Maybe I can help him, Doc.
Keep quiet.
Maybe I can remind him.
Shut up! Shut up! You don't need his name, Doc. You don't need his testimony. I know who killed Lark Adams. Who? You gotta believe me, Jake. I didn't mean it. It was an accident.
Big galoot. All you had to do was keep your mouth shut.
Manslaughter. I ought to get out in 18 months. That ain't so long.
You know what's the matter with you? Your neck's too long. You gotta learn to stop sticking it out for people like Amy and me.
Yeah? Well, you take care of yourself. At least until I get back. Don't worry about me.
I will if I want to.
Nothing from him? I just hope he makes it.
He will. He just keeps on walking next time.
Always new people, always new places. Only one thing is constant for Richard Kimball. At the end, there is always the road. Richard Kimball is a fugitive.
The Fugitive.